Somebody's going to get finished at middleweight this weekend, and it could be Robert Whittaker, and it could be Kelvin Gastelum, but it's most likely going to be either Abdul Razak Alhassan or Jacob Malkoun. And for Jacob Malkoun, they made you pay for his last fight. How ridiculous is that? They put him in there, he fought Phil Hawes, you knew he was going to get finished, and Phil Hawes knocked him the fuck out. And it wasn't even close, and it was stupid that they even made that fight. The guy was 4-0 fighting Phil Hawes that had all the hype in the world at one point. He was on The Ultimate Fighter. He was with the World Series. He was on Dana White's Contender Series. He had all the hype, and he absolutely stole it from Malkoun. And for Malkoun, he was that guy. He was just that guy, you know. Well, nobody wants to ever fight him because of who his main training partner is. And listen, if you look at the gyms and whatnot, out of Gracie Grange, if you want to call it that, you have Malkoun, you have Robert Whittaker. They're buddies. They're in the same weight class. They're primary training partners. The only thing is, for every great fighter, there's that primary training partner. And my perfect example, and I'll take it, well, there's the Diaz brothers, and then there's Chris Avila. And one of our most watched Bellator videos ever was Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor and Chris Avila, and people got so riled up that we called out Chris Avila. But look at his damn record. The guy's 6-7 now. Chris Avila, not a Diaz brother. There's so many other training partners out there like that. Jacob Malkoun's 4-0. You look at the wins, because 5 on in, well, there's only 4 fights. He beats Cam Rouston, 4 years ago? He beats Ryan Hakata, 5-4, knocks him out.
I won't forget.
He beats Christoph Van Dyke. That's a good win. That actually is a really good win. And then he beats Sebastian Temezi by decision a year and a half ago, and then he gets a fight against Phil Hawes. I will say this, from all the tape study out of Jacob Malkoun, there's things that I like. Can he incorporate all of the skills of MMA? Sure. But there's a reason why I said somebody's going to get finished in this fight. Jacob Malkoun could definitely finish Abdul Razak Alhassan. We saw it from the long layoff due to extenuating circumstances, and we'll just go with that and run with it. MMA media, don't want to go too far, but with Abdul Razak Alhassan, this guy looked like an absolute world beater. Like, he was riding high at 70. He had the crazy fights against Sabah Homasi. I get to be at one of them. He had that crazy win over Nico Price, and it was like, man, the sky's the limit for Judo Thunder. Long layoff, comes back and fights Munir Lazzez. Weight-wise, not great. Still a big guy. Weight-wise, not great. Goes in there and absolutely throws down on Munir Lazzez, and it was like, hey, this fight's going to be over soon. And then it wasn't. Lazzez persevered, and Lazzez looked great, and Abdul Razak Alhassan tired after what? The later stages of the first round.
It was fast.
And then he comes back out and he fights, I'd say, a really tough out. He fights Chaos Williams, the Ox fighter. And for Chaos Williams, had the great win over Alex Morono, goes in there against Abdul Razak Alhassan, starches him with a right cross and knocks him out cold. The weight cut was definitely an issue for Alhassan. I mean, the guy's 35. He's almost 36 at this point. So now he moves up to middleweight. And if you thought he was thick before, he's going to be thick at middleweight. The other thing here, height-wise, Abdul Razak Alhassan was a big guy for 70. Jacob Malkoun's not a big guy for 85. Like, frame-wise, not a huge guy. So this fight, it's whoever finishes the other guy. It's as plain and simple as that. Abdul Razak Alhassan's a power puncher. Jacob Malkoun's the guy that trains with Robert Whittaker. And again, try to be a nice guy. Try to be objective. Done the research. Yikes.
So I'll add a couple of things. Now, I do like what you had said. Malkoun is a smaller middleweight, so initially when this fight was first booked, I was like, oh, at middleweight, that's weird. I guess Razak Alhassan has had problems with his weight at 170, but yeah, physically, Abdul Razak Alhassan is going to be a big 185er. Now, is he going to match up with, like, I guess a Yoel Romero or even a Darren Till? Maybe not, but still, those fighters are still exceptions as well. They're big, even for middleweights. For Jacob Malkoun, I could honestly see a move to 170 in his future at some point, just because physically, he isn't that big guy, and it's weird for Malkoun, too. I think he could finish Alhassan, but I do think the weight did play a part in Alhassan's chin, at least in his last fight. And hey, you're going to get knocked out against Chaos Williams if you eat a clean shot. Now, that was one of those knockouts where you're genuinely concerned for the person who got knocked out because it was just so vicious. And that's kind of the taste that's been left in my mouth, if you will, because the last 2 performances from Alhassan Alhassan, they haven't been very good. Now, he looked good in the initial round, I guess, against Lazez, like you had mentioned, really explosive with his shots. And when he lands, guys feel it. Even go back to the Nico Price fight. Like, Nico Price goes in there with power punchers. He's fought Vicente Luque twice. Now, he got finished in both of those fights, but still, Price is a durable fighter who is normally, he can give anybody a hard 15 minutes. That's what I say Nico Price can do. He's going to give you a hard 15. And Abdul Razak Alhassan just destroyed him through one flurry and knocked him out. I could see this being similar to that fight where Malkoun, he is sort of stationary. I do like his grappling a little bit more than Alhassan's in this fight, but he doesn't have the best footwork. Like you mentioned with Juan Espino. Juan Espino wants to get the fight to the mat, but at least he is fleet of foot on the feet. So he's not going to be all that hittable before he gets the opportunity to get the fight to the mat. Whereas Malkoun, he will kind of plant. Now, if he does throw with power and catches Alhassan in the chin, maybe he can put him away, because when Alhassan does let his hands go, he does leave his chin so high up in the air, it's not even funny. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. This fight, probably not going to go the distance. Of course, I just said that, so it's probably going to be the worst fight ever for 15 minutes. But I'm going to say Alhassan. I don't know if by TKO, maybe I'll just say it, because from what I've seen out of Jacob Malkoun, I do agree. It sucks that he is kind of in this position as you're just Robert Whittaker's training partner. Like, Zaza Pachulia's Klay Thompson's rebounder now that Klay Thompson's back in the gym getting shots up. But you don't see a lot of people on Twitter saying, hey, why are teams signing Zaza Pachulia? It's just because there's no real place for him right now. Same as for Malkoun, I get it. You're the training partner, and I'm sure he helps Robert Whittaker a lot. And I'm sure Robert Whittaker's probably his number one fan. I'm sure Whittaker's a big reason as to why Malkoun's in the UFC at this point. But at this point, yeah, other than just being that primary training partner, I don't really know what the long-term future of Malkoun is, especially in this division. So I'm going to ever so slightly pick Alhassan, but this fight could go so many different ways.
This is one, again, leave it off your card. It's just like the old Georges Dano and Yorgan Castro. We put the disclaimer out there. Leave it off your card because the odds are silly. And for Abdul Razak Alhassan, he's a big favorite in this fight. He opened a -350. He's a -302 or thereabouts on best fight odds with the average. For Malkoun to open a +285, he's now a +238. For anybody that says that they have a lock for this one, if it's not Manpreet, like just put Manpreet aside because he's great and that's his thing. But if you're like, man, Jacob Malkoun's a lock. Yeah, come on. 90% of 993 votes in Tapology have Alhassan to win. 86% by knockout. For Malkoun, 46% by knockout out of the 10% that have him. I think Alhassan's going to be able to get it done. The other thing, too, Abdul Razak Alhassan, if he invests in the kicks, they are thunderous.
And he's fast. Like, this
and he has a judo background, too. Like, there's a lot of things for Alhassan. We just have to see how it translates at 185. So this is another opportunity here. He had one, lost the long time off, lost Lazez. You had another one against Chaos Williams, relative unknown still. And now you have Jacob Malkoun. And for Jacob Malkoun, I mean, goodness gracious. For him and for his sake, I hope that he wins this fight. Because for Robert Whittaker, too, to see your guy lose, and maybe lose impressively twice, on the same card that you're on, at least this is free TV. You don't have to pay for the damn pay-per-view, but it's a tough one.
It is a tough one. Again, I like Alhassan ever so slightly, but this fight is just hard to predict because there's so many unknowns for both fighters.
Both of us going with Fortis MMA's Abdul Razak Alhassan to get the win. Really looking forward to the fight. I love our next one. Chase Sherman taking on Andrei Arlovsky. Big one at heavyweight. Our second over 40-year-old on the card at heavyweight. Keep locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. As we always say, let's get into it.